Hey y'all, we are in the MuggleCast studio today reacting to today's release of the Quidditch Champions gameplay trailer. Quidditch Champions is the answer to all of our prayers after we missed out on Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy, and we're really excited to give it a shot. Pam and Marc, our frequent guest hosts on MuggleCast, are with me in the studio today. What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having us.
How's it going? How's it going?
Well, Pam, you, as I said, are a frequent guest contributor on MuggleCast, lifelong Harry Potter fan. Obviously, our the way that we all know each other is because of Harry Potter. I think that's pretty well established. And Marc, you've been a contributor multiple times, but you also have a background in game design. So we were very interested in having you on to chat through this trailer with us today. So before we dive into the trailer together, please make sure that you're following MuggleCast here on YouTube and in your podcasting app of choice. You can find us and links to all of our socials and all of the things at MuggleCast.com. We have been podcasting about Harry Potter for 19 years, and we're really trying to expand our reach to YouTube. So dropping us a like, comment, and subscribe really helps us out. And without further ado, let's get into this trailer, y'all.
Welcome to Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. Your next chapter in the Harry Potter universe takes flight as you're finally able to immerse yourself in the enchanting world of Quidditch. Whether you're a solo player who wants to tour iconic magical locations while flying alongside your favorite characters in career mode, a social player who wants to rep your house and play with your friends in online co-op, or a gamer looking to prove yourself against the world in multiplayer mode. Quidditch.
Okay, so first have to stop here. We're all going to be option 2, right? Just want to play with our friends. Honestly, my dream is just to get a MuggleCast league together and just shit talk each other the entire time. I feel like that's what's going to happen.
Or is it going to be all on one team, or is it going to be all playing against each other?
I thought the plan was to be all on one team, but who knows? I just spent a few days, Marc, you know this, with, cooped up in a hotel with all these guys. So maybe they'll be like, we want to go versus. I don't know who it would be though, 2v2. But we have to remember the hypeable family of podcasts, if you will, is growing. It's large. It's we've got the 4 MuggleCasters. We've got Pam, who's with Andrew and I, a millennial. Marc, you're part of it. Chloe, our social media manager, is part of it. Pat has been part of it. Meg, Eric's partner, has also been part of it. So we're slowly growing our reach. Maybe we could have a couple of teams.
What you're saying is we have our own team already.
Yeah.
So you're saying they're going to be a show tournament. It's What the Hype versus Millennial versus
we have our own Tri-Wizard tournament.
Honestly, I wouldn't know who to compete against though, because I'm on all 3 of those shows.
I mean, you'd have to just
You'd have to get
one.
captains, and it would be old school.
No.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You're telling me I have to pick favorites now. How do you
assuming
choose
you're
between
captains?
I should. Okay. Total fairness, I should not be captain because I'm not good at sports in real life, and I'm also not good in them in gaming. So I have a feeling that I'm really going to struggle with the mechanics of flying on a broom. But
we can just make peace with the fact that we'll be picked last, and it's fine.
That's fine.
You can just give
like old
inspirational
times.
Just
speeches.
like middle school.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right, Pam.
No, but I love that there's so many different options, to your point.
Yeah.
You can really customize your gameplay, and that's really cool. We haven't seen that before.
I also love these stages. It look nice. They're real dope.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And honestly, I'll give it to them so far. I'm going to withhold my judgment until I actually play the game. But initially, when I saw some of the early graphics, I was like, this looks like a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. But
yeah,
isn't Portkey also makes the mobile games, like the tap ones? So
Champions has something for everyone, and you won't need Malfoy money to enjoy hours of Quidditch Champions because there are no microtransactions in the game.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's great.
Will find all the roles and
Why is it, Mark, that, let me pause real quick. Why is it a big deal that they're not doing microtransactions in this game? I feel like, first and foremost, microtransactions are just like super standard nowadays, it feels like. So to hear that they're not doing that in this game is pretty refreshing.
I think mostly it's just to have a show of good faith, honestly. Like I think that they're trying to like have there be as little negative buzz about this game as you can, and like microtransactions are kind of like a accepted, I guess, just a necessary evil of games, because honestly, like the prices of games have not been like going up with how much it actually takes to make a game. So like
Yeah.
DLC and microtransactions are where the studios make back their money, because if they just put out a game for $60 or 70 if it's current gen, and that was it, and like if you think back to even the PS like 3 era, games are $60. So like in 3 generations of gaming, the price has not gone up. So it's like they kind of have to do that. But I guess for this, they're just like, we're just going to eat the cost and just hope that we make enough, because usually it's like, as long as the microtransactions aren't pay to win, whereas like you don't get something that you need to actually win the game mechanically, people don't care. Like if it's just aesthetic stuff like
Yeah.
skins and costumes and stuff like that, that's fine. But the second it's like you have to pay to get a specific broom that is better than all the other brooms, then that's typically a bad thing,
Takes
because
the fun out of it.
exactly, and you're gatekeeping that better mechanic behind a paywall, which people have thoughts on. So I think it's a good move to just be like, there's no microtransactions at all. That
Do you
way
think that maybe part of that decision is also swayed by the age range of which they're targeting this towards? Because obviously, like, we are the Harry Potter generation and we all have adult money now, so in theory we could shell out if we wanted to, right? But there's also so many kids that are into Harry Potter, and you know, a kid doesn't have their own money. Parents probably only want to buy the game once. So I would assume that maybe that factors into it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, there's Fortnite, right, which kids play all the time, and there are microtransactions all over the place in that game.
Do they
So
also,
I mean,
out of curiosity, do they track like game play time and stuff like that? Is that like a mile marker of success in the video game world, like it is for streaming, for example?
not really.
Okay.
Like typically, it's just I know PlayStation for a while did trophy data, which I guess you could say that's kind of playtime, because there's some trophies you can only get, once you do like beat the game or whatever. But in terms of just success, it's usually just how much it sold. Like just how many copies sold is typically the metric.
Yeah. I was just wondering if maybe there was like something in there about like, you know, like the more you play, maybe like the more skins you get, or like the better broom you get.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
yeah,
then
yeah.
like, you know, if
Yeah,
they're
I'm sure there'll
charting
be some.
that, you know,
Yeah.
they're saying like, oh, this is like, this game was successful and we didn't have to microcharge, for example, because
Yeah, I'm sure
they
there'll be
spent this much
something
time.
along those lines where it's like, if you beat the game, you get a special skin or something, which
Yeah.
that's usually fine. It's just as long as you can't pay to get them, right? Like, and even if you have the option, like in Street Fighter 5, for example, you could buy new characters when they came out, or you could use in-game currency to buy them, and you just got that through playing the game, because you play a bunch of matches, you beat people or you lose. I mean, you got it regardless. And once you got enough battle coins or whatever it was called, when the new character came out, you could redeem them. So there are ways around it, but I think they're just trying to be safe, and they're just trying to be like, look, we're just not doing microtransactions at all. You buy the game, and once you buy the game, that's it.
Yeah.
Though there are a few differences to encourage fun, balanced gameplay. Take to the sky as the classic Quidditch positions: Chaser, Seeker, Beater, and Keeper, each with their own unique playstyle. Each successful goal a chaser scores through the hoops is worth
Get out all
points.
that aggression.
And if you're seeking just to catch the snitch before the opposing team, they'll earn 30 points. enough to recover if your team is trailing behind. Or
Okay,
go further.
let's
Yeah.
pause here.
So yeah,
That
this
is
Yeah.
this is
crazy.
interesting, right? So like 10 points each for chasers scoring goals, which is as it is in the books. But now seekers only get 30 points for catching the snitch, whereas in the books it's 150. Clearly they're doing this to balance out
hmm
the play of Quidditch, because honestly, like, I don't even know that much about sports, but if you read about Quidditch, you can tell like it's not a terribly well balanced
No.
sport.
Oh
Mhm.
no. I mean, even from a game design perspective, it's
Yeah.
terribly balanced. It wouldn't really make any sense if you get the snitch and that automatically wins you the game. Pretty much every team, like all of their resources would just go straight to the snitch because or to the seeker because you could just lose the entire time they get that thing and you win.
Well, and
Right. So
Yeah.
I would also point out that it's probably like a time thing too. I mean, I remember in the books like I think Ron makes the point about how like the longest match went on for 2 weeks or something like that
Right.
because they couldn't find the snitch. It's the same reason why they're introducing all these new rules in baseball, for example, like a pitch timer and stuff like that, so that the
mhm.
games are snappier and they're shorter.
Yeah.
So I I don't know. There's probably like a number of reasons. I imagine that's one of them, unless they make it
Mhm.
super easy, in which case it's not fun, right? Like they
Yeah.
make it a little
Like
hard for you
it
to
sh-
Mhm.
find and
yeah, it should
catch.
be hard. It should be
Yeah.
hard to get the snitch. And like again, 30 points is still good. Like that's still a good amount of
Yeah.
points to get and that could close a gap. But like making it not just an automatic win button, like that's really good
Hmm.
because I'm telling you right now, if that's the way it was, no one would play any other position. Like
That's
Well, and
true.
the thing I find interesting is in the books, catching the snitch also ends the game.
mhm.
Right.
And it seems like that's not the way it
Yeah.
is here. Like Pam, you said it's going to be timed as opposed to that, which again, like, I think it makes sense because we also saw examples in the books of how, like, the strategy of trying to get the snitch as quickly as possible may not necessarily play out well for you. Like, look at Victor Crumb, who
Mhm.
caught the snitch
Yeah.
for Bulgaria and Goblet of Fire, but then ultimately they still lost the match.
Mhm.
Or wait, was it
Right.
the opposite? No,
Ireland
he
Yeah.
caught
wins
it.
and Crumb gets the snitch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this does balance for that and account for it. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that feels when we're playing it.
I mean,
So
like the high
remind me.
score counts too is like crazy when you think about it that way. And
Yeah.
so like, yeah, this is like the way that Quidditch was formulated for the books is interesting in that regard because I think even most professional sports, unless you're, well, I mean, they're getting more than like 1 point per quaffle in the hoop, right? So like that probably
Yeah,
adds up to it, but it's still I think it's like 10 points each.
it
So you're
is. Yeah.
scoring a bunch. So either the
Mhm.
keepers are awful or it's just a high scoring game in general, but
So when you get the snitch, do you win and the game ends, or does the game just end?
The game ends
in
Okay,
the
and
books,
in
yeah, in
books.
the
Okay,
books. Yeah, the
no
game
no matter
ends.
what.
You get 150 points.
150. Okay,
If that 150 gives you more points than the other team, you win. But
hmm
it is possible if the other team has more points than you, even when you add your 150, they would still win,
I see.
even
I
if you
see.
caught the snitch.
Mhm.
I see. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that also kind of like changes things because it's like, okay, well, if you were losing by over 150, then you wouldn't try to get the snitch,
But you would
right?
still want to catch it, like
Well,
if it
Victor Crumb would.
materializes,
Yeah.
right? You're not just going to be like, oh, I'm not going to catch this if the other seeker is going for it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I guess you would put resources into blocking the other seeker because if you caught it and you were down
Right.
160, then you would lose.
You're right. You would be
Yeah.
buying time for your other teammates to
Yeah.
score a bit more, hopefully. I'm also curious, I don't know if they're gonna like go into this in this gameplay walkthrough, like how far seekers are allowed to go when searching for the
hmm
snitch, because it seems like they just let that thing go anywhere in the books. Like
hmm
it could be
Yeah.
halfway to Hogsmeade and
Yeah.
nobody knows.
I I would assume for what we're because these fields are pretty big. Like they're
Yeah.
pretty big fields. So I would assume it's within the field, maybe a little bit out of it, like just a little bit. but I don't see them like I couldn't see them
Yeah.
as far as the eye can see. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true, 'cause you
they
wanna
have
keep
to
an
put
eye on.
limiters on that
Yeah.
because like this gets like super into like deeply nerdy Harry Potter lore, but like the original, like the golden snitch wasn't always the golden snitch, right? It was the golden snidget, which was a bird.
Hmm.
So originally, they were using a living animal to end their Quidditch matches, and presumably, with it being a bird, it would literally go wherever it wants to go, and it would have no concept of like staying within bounds. So it makes sense in the books why the snitch itself operates in a similar way. But yeah, for the purposes of a game, I don't think I don't think they could do that. It wouldn't make sense.
I mean, that'd be a cool skin for the snitch, the
That would
bird.
be
Yeah,
so
that'd be
cool, but
fun.
That'd be
also
cool.
I would feel kind of bad.
I
Yeah,
mean, they
you're
could
like
just make it look,
strangling this little bird.
just make it look
Yeah.
magic. Yeah, just
You
make it
like
look.
That's true.
when you catch it, do feathers pop off of it or something?
I mean, they could make it like just like a. Or what would be cool is what if it was a Patronus of a bird,
But then you wouldn't be able to touch
Patronus.
it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able
or
It'd be
to
like
or
touch
ju-
vapor.
or just when it like when you touch it, it just goes away. Like just in terms of like to make it look cool. Like there are things
Oh,
they
I
could
see.
do that could just because I mean a game like this, once you have the mechanics down, like I don't see them having like a DLC or a season that adds a whole nother mechanic. Like I can see them adding characters, and new stages.
Yeah, they're gonna get into
skins.
that.
Yeah.
So let's keep it moving. We are at 16 minutes.
Oops.
No, you're totally fine. We're nerding out over here.
Or pull further ahead if you're in the lead. Score more points than your opponents by the end of the match,
Or be the first to score 100 points. So I guess that's the ender.
You'll
Oh,
start your career
This
in
I
none other
love.
than the
I
Weasley
love
Burrow, home to
this.
some
Yeah.
very familiar players. Here, you'll join up with the Weasley family for a friendly day of Quidditch.
This seems so
competing
peaceful.
in their own homegrown
Yeah.
Garden Cup. Once you've secured the Garden Cup,
Okay.
it's time to start a proper career. And your road
So are we
to
going to the
World
Triwizard
Championship.
Tournament? Or not
3
Triwizard
additional
Tournament,
cups are
Quidditch
available
World
to
Cup.
play, either
Same
solo
thing.
or cooperatively with up to 3 players online. First, you'll head to Hogwarts to compete in the annual Quidditch House Cup. Choose to play as Gryffindor.
So what I'm wondering is like, can we play like for the House Cup as teams of like friends? Or is that going to be reserved for online play only?
I don't know. I don't know if this is part of the like career mode, and I don't know if you can do co-op. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
what I'm wondering.
I don't see why you couldn't do co-op career mode. Like it's the mechanics would be the same, I assume.
Yeah, it would make
You know,
sense.
but or unless this is just like the career mode is how you learn to play, because a lot of games
the
do that where it's like
training.
Yeah.
they teach you how to
That's
play through the
true.
career mode, and then when you go online, you already know
Yeah.
like how to play pretty much.
Or you just go online and Leroy Jenkins that shit.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a move. That's a move. That's a choice.
That's probably going to be what I do, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin, donning the robes of your chosen house, and playing head-to-head against famous players
Rip.
from the other houses, including the likes of Cho Chang, Cedric Diggory, Draco Malfoy, and
We just
Harry
read the
Potter
book where he
himself.
died, so.
After you've settled the clash of the houses,
Spoilers,
it's time to
jeez.
compete at the school level. In the Triwizard School Quidditch Cup, you can choose to represent one of
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So wait, I can play as a Beauxbaton student or a Durmstrang student, it sounds like.
Looks like
I think so.
Yeah.
the Durmstrang's field looks sick. I do remember that.
Mhm.
I love that we get to see fields for the other schools that they've like
Yeah.
created those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really nice that they did that because these are places that we never got to see. And I feel like that's what's so cool about video games in the wizarding world. Like with Hogwarts Legacy, we got to see stuff that we have never gotten to see in the movies, and getting to see it here too is like
the
super
3
exciting.
greatest wizarding schools
I think
in
even
the
if I
world.
don't like this
Beauxbaton's
game very
Academy of
much,
Magic, Durmstrang Institute,
I think that I
or
will still
Hogwarts
have a
School
good
of
time
Witchcraft
playing it.
and Wizardry. Finally,
Like,
with
it'll
enough
scratch that
determination,
itch.
your career will bring you to the global stage in the biggest
Oh,
Quidditch
shit.
event of all, the Quidditch World Cup. Choose to represent one of 16 nations.
So wait, you
and
can
face your
play
most
as like
challenging
different
opponents yet, in
nationalities
front of a
here,
massive
so you
sea
could
of
like
roaring
reenact
fans.
Bulgaria
If you can
v
make it to the
Ireland.
finals,
You
you
know,
have a chance.
honestly, this may be the most information we get about other wizarding nations right here. Because if you could
Yeah,
just pick whatever nation you want, I would assume they would have some kind of exposition, like here's their
yeah.
lead player, here's their colors, for the
Mm.
uniform or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Yeah, I would think so too.
The Quidditch World Cup. Choose to represent one of 16
I know who that
nations
was.
and face
I
your
know.
most challenging opponents yet, in front of a massive sea of
Oh,
roaring
here's
fans.
where we
If
get
you can
into
make it
like
to the finals, you have a chance of what
customization.
most witches and wizards only dream of: lifting the World Cup in the ultimate victory.
Isn't
But getting there won't be easy.
isn't
Fortunately,
Sebastian
the further
Sallow
you progress in
supposed to be a
Quidditch
character in
Champions,
this?
you
I think
can
I read that
improve your
somewhere.
character's build-outs
From
to
Hogwarts
tailor your
Legacy.
playstyle in
Oh, that's
ways
cool.
that are unique to you. Throughout your journey, you'll earn skill points with which you can boost your stats and gain special moves to craft.
So, Mark, you said something interesting earlier that I want to touch on briefly here. When we watched this, you were like, this is why Hogwarts Legacy didn't have Quidditch.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
still don't understand. Can you give me like the TLDR?
So typically, because two different studios made this, usually when you have an IP, whether it's Marvel, Star Wars, whatever, if a if an if a game or a studio is going to come out with a game with that IP doing something specifically like fighting or racing or whatever, or shooting, typically they don't want to saturate, like oversaturate the market, because then people are going to just compare it to the other thing, right? Like a perfect example is Marvel Spider-Man game, and then the Marvel's Avengers game. Rest in peace. But for that, Spider-Man was in both games, and people compared Spider-Man as he appeared in Avengers to the Marvel game, to the Spider-Man in the PS4 game, and the swinging in the PS4 game is amazing. Like it's just super fluid. The game engine was kind of made for that, so it makes sense. And the Avengers game's not so much. So like even though it was two different studios, it's the same IP doing the same thing. So if they put Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy and then this came out afterwards, people would just compare this to Hogwarts Legacy for better or worse.
Yeah, I get that.
You
I
know,
mean, what I will say is you do get to fly on a broom in Hogwarts
yes.
Legacy, and I found the mechanics of flying a broom to be really bad
Yep.
in Hogwarts Legacy. So I will be comparing it on that front.
Oh, 100%. And honestly, like credit where credit's due, like they already had so much work to do with Hogwarts Legacy. Like the game was huge. And like that studio wasn't known to do games like that. So this was their first try. So they did a really good job. If they had to add a whole, cuz like Quidditch is another game. So you're putting a whole nother game into your game, and like the development time would have taken so long. Like the opportunity cost just wasn't there, especially since they knew there was going to be another studio doing Quidditch anyway. So it's like, why would we put all this time and effort into our game to do this thing that another company's going to do from the same IP, where we could just not do that and focus on the other things that set our game apart?
I'm glad
So
you explained all that, because I know that one of the peak criticisms that came out after Hogwarts Legacy dropped was that they didn't have Quidditch, and then when this was announced, everyone was like, "Oh, you guys just did this to make more money. You just like you're giving us like what ended up on the cutting room floor of that game," which is like
yeah, and that's
clearly not the case based on the
No.
design alone. You
Yeah,
can kind
it's a
of
whole
tell that
nother
they're two different
studio.
studios. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like now I would say if they came out and it was the same studio and the same art and it was the same engine, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, they just did this to make more money. But it's a whole nother studio, whole nother engine, like that's, and honestly, I prefer that because Quidditch is already such a complicated, unbalanced sport that if you're gonna have somebody put time towards it and like try to balance it really for the first time to this scale, I would want somebody who that's all they're doing. Like, I don't want them to also be like, okay, do combat, do exploration, do the design for all the
Yeah.
levels. Like, that's a lot. That like, or just the story. Like, there's not really going to be that much of a story in this compared to Hogwarts Legacy. There is, but just not at the same scale. So this studio can really focus on like, we're going to make playing Quidditch fun, right? Like, in Hogwarts Legacy, it would have kind of just been an afterthought just because they only have so many resources.
Yeah. That helps. Makes me feel a little bit less salty about that.
No two brooms fly quite the same. With 6 characters
So yeah,
in
that's
your roster,
interesting. 6
you'll
characters,
have no
not
shortage
7.
of ways you can express yourself. Each character can be customized to your liking, including their physical characteristics, hair, outfits, hats, wands, and more. Or you can equip any slot with your hero skins that let you appear
Cool.
as your favorite
Definitely gonna
Wizarding World
customize
characters. In addition to your looks, you can personalize your broom skins, broom trails,
Honestly,
goal-scoring
I'm
VFX,
definitely gonna
emotes,
pick like
and
the
post-game
douchiest
celebrations.
emote for when I win.
As you build up and personalize your dream roster, you may wish to show off and prove your skills to players around
I
the world.
love that
In
stage.
PvP mode, you'll control one of your team's chasers as well as one other role of your choice. Form a party with your friends or queue up as your favorite role in matchmaking. Finally, be on the lookout for future seasons and events featuring new characters.
See, I think that's really cool that they're taking a season approach to it. Like, it's not just a one and done game. I think that's what was kind of frustrating to me about Hogwarts Legacy was it was a beautiful game, but it was one and done, and it was very clear they had no intentions of like really meaningfully updating it or adding to it over time. But this being like kind of a season setup is going to keep people coming back and let us give feedback about what we want. Mark, I know you know a lot about this because you do play quite a few games that operate in seasons like this. But this would be my first time playing a game like this, being honest.
I mean, you played Overwatch. That's a season game.
Yeah, I wasn't as deeply entrenched in it as I think I will be in this.
Yeah.
But y'all, I'm curious. I already said I want to be a beater. So on our Quidditch team, what roles are you two interested in?
Probably beater or seeker, just because I'm curious how that's gonna go. Like, I'm curious,
like how far you're gonna be able to like where you're gonna be able to seek for the snitch. Yeah.
and how the mechanics work. Like, do I just follow it around? Like, do I have to go through like specific routes? Do I have to like use a spell? Like, how do I like? There's a lot to that role that isn't very straightforward, right? Like, the other one's like, okay, you're a goalie, right? Or you're a defensive person. Like, that makes sense. But it's like a seeker, you're literally just like, you're not really playing the same game as everybody else. You know, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I feel like maybe they've shown some of this in these, but you see what I presume to be a seeker having to fly through hoops in
Like
order
rings.
to increase their speed, and I'm assuming that might be the mechanic they use for you to like get fast enough to catch the snitch.
And I feel like we've seen that before in a previous Harry Potter video game. I just wouldn't.
But they have that in.
They do that in
Hogwarts
Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is when you're flying in general, like flying through courses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you just pop balloons.
Yeah.
I hated those things. Jesus.
Maps, rewards, and so much more. Magic is in the air. So mount those brooms. Take to the skies.
That's gonna be
and soon
us.
You too could
Wow.
be a
Nice little
Quidditch
group
champion.
Winners.
Right?
So what do y'all think? Are you going to be excited to give Quidditch Champions a try when it comes out on September 3rd?
Yeah.
By the
That's
way,
right around
like,
the
Happy
corner.
birthday to me.
right around the corner.
Happy birthday to me. But yeah, also I just looked this up just to make sure that It will be available to PlayStation Plus Essential subscribers for 30 days after launch
Heck yeah. So that
for
means
no charge.
you don't have to pay for it for those
Yeah, you
Right.
30
can.
days.
Yeah, you could try it out if
Oh,
you'd
that's
like,
really
which
cool.
is that's smart. That's smart. And honestly, like I think one of the things we didn't talk about that'll be a real like deciding factor for this is I say this for every. I mean, I'm a fighting game person, so it happens all the time. But netcode, netcode, netcode. If the netcode for this game is bad, that's going to be rough because there's a lot of stuff going on in Quidditch. And if you have like lag or people randomly disconnecting, like that's going to be
Mm.
it's not going to be
Yeah.
a good
So
look.
um for those of us who don't speak game designer, can you give a very brief description of what that is?
So netcode is just the code for the network connection for the game. So like the better it is, the less you're gonna have random like imagine if you were playing Mario Kart with somebody and the whole time you're just lagging, you're going really slow, you're like glitching, well not glitching, but you're just like your frame rates all over the place, like you randomly disconnect. That's bad netcode.
Got
There
it.
there
Okay.
are different types of netcode that are better. The best right now is rollback, which it's very. I'm not going to get into what rollback is. All I need to know is rollback is the best. If you see something that has rollback netcode, that means it's going to be pretty much perfect for the most part. So if they say that if this has rollback netcode, then you're in a good place because you're probably going to be fine.
Hmm. There's something else that I saw in there. I think when they were showing us like the broom options, there was a note at the bottom that said like one model was only available through the deluxe version of the game. Do you
Mm.
all know the differences between the two?
I could look it up right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be
So
good for people to know if they're interested in purchasing.
yeah.
So,
I feel like, so I'll say they do this with, I think, a lot of games. They did it with Hogwarts Legacy, where there was a specific like mount you could get to be able to
mm,
ride best rolls, and you could get like certain costuming, and it was called like the Dark Arts Deluxe bundle, and it was like $20 more expensive, but it was all just like you can ride a Thestral and you can wear Death Eater costumes if you want to. So like personally, not worth it to me to spend the extra $20.
So what I'm seeing is the digital edition is September 3rd, and that will be available across PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. If you want the physical edition, you'll have to wait till November 8th. So that is quite the wait there. Let's see.
I have a feeling a lot of people are going to go digital
Yes.
mhm.
for
Also,
this.
The
Like,
Nintendo Switch version will be released sometime during the holiday, which who knows when that's going to be.
I don't recommend it.
Nah,
No,
nah,
but
not
they're
an
going for the
online game like
bundle,
that.
which is smart.
Yeah. And then on Steam, it is going to be $30 for the regular base game, and then the deluxe edition is $40, so a $10 difference. Which honestly, the fact that it's not 60 or 70 is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, cool. I am really, really excited to play this when it comes out. Definitely going to download it on day one. But for now, I think we've pretty much wrapped up everything that we could say about this trailer in under an hour. So we may revisit it on a future episode of MuggleCast once we've all had a chance to play the game. Thank you again so much for joining us. I know that I'm going to be looking forward to playing Quidditch Champions on a stream soon. You can actually follow us on Twitch at twitch.com/MuggleCast, as we are looking forward to experimenting with Twitch very, very soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Exciting.
Yeah. And Pam and Mark, thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you both on the Quidditch pitch soon.
See ya.
Sounds like a
No problem. No
plan.
problem.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.